All right, I got the mic. Yay! Hi, I'm Carol Chen. I work for Red Hat. I'm the Ansible community/event manager, and recently I'm starting to learn about Kubernetes operators with Ansible. So I'm interested to learn more about, well, either joining more about the Kubernetes community and also the CE of how you do CE here. So thanks.
Hey, I'm Martin, also working for Red Hat on the OpenShift installer for all the OpenStack related bits. And I'm mostly here to learn about what the user or contributor experience meeting is about.
Hey, I'm Tomasz Siedlewicz, working on the same thing as Martin. Basically, I come from the OpenStack side of things and trying to see how the Kubernetes community works.
I'm I'm Itzig Brown, also from Red Hat, working on OpenShift on OpenStack. Also familiar with the OpenStack community and like to know the Kubernetes community.
Hi, I'm a junior cloud and DevOps engineer. I'm here to discover this new word, contribution. So, yep.
I'm Noah. I do also miscellaneous things, Slack, Contrib Summit. I guess LWKD is not under ContribX. Maybe it should be, Josh. Developer newsletter.
Hi, I'm Dawn Foster. I do open source strategy at Pivotal, and I'm involved in the contributor experience SIG. I've been helping out with the Contributor Summit.
Hi, I am Enrico, and I'm just an SRE in a small company in Paris. So that's it.
Nikita, Christoph, and also Glenn.
I'm Nikita. I'm one of the technical leads for the SIG contributor experience. Yeah, and I'm involved in some other SIGs as well.
Our resident rock star.
And our keynote speaker.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Christoph Blecker. I work for Red Hat. I'm also one of the technical leads for Contributor Experience.
Hi, I'm Arno. I'm a production engineer in Paris, and I used to be in the SIG release for 9 months. Now I'm helping someone in the contributor experience. Some people.
Okay. Hey, I'm Guinevere, or Gwen. I work at GitHub. I have been a contributor since 2017. That's when I got started. I love this. I love this SIG. I'm actually super curious. Is anyone here from the new contributor workshop? Raise your hand. Originally, no, not today. All right, cool. Anyway, if you're having trouble onboarding as a new contributor, come talk to me. I will show you the way. The rest is up to you. just saying.
Hi, I'm Sahdev Zala. I work at IBM, and I contribute to Kubernetes at CD, and I coach at IBM Cloud SIG, and I contribute to contributor experience. I'm a regular contributor. Thanks. Good to be here.
Yeah, okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Reda Benzer. I'm CNCF ambassador in France. I'm here only a guest to see how it's working on it, how it's community doing here. Thank you.
And talk through that. Cool, it is on. So we have regular program updates at the top of the hour. George is responsible for coordinating the Kubernetes office hours. I assume there aren't any updates on that front.
So we rotate them through, and we, you know, how'd you get started? What was your first open source thing? Because a lot of people don't come from that background, and they kind of talk about.
People can still ask like questions.
Yeah, so you can ask, hey, you know, how do I sign the CLA? Because that always seems to be a problem. You know, so any kind of contributor related, I want to help but I can't, or I want to help but learn more. We try to do that and meet our contributors, and we run at the same time, the first and Thursdays every month to give people consistency.
First and third Wednesdays.
Wednesdays, that's what I said, right? Okay, my bad. We should probably put a link in the notes on where they can find the calendar, because all these things are on the community calendar, and it's not so obvious where to find the community calendar. And then we do a community meeting every Thursday that is also open to everybody in the project, and these SIGs rotate in and they give status reports of what's happening in the project, because it's impossible for one person. So that's the meeting where if you're in a SIG and kind of doing what you're doing, you find out what's happening in other SIGs. We do release announcements. We do, hey, you know, we turned on a new bit of GitHub automation to make your job a little bit easier. We do a KEP of the week. The what? Oh, we do a demo. So we ask people from around the community if they want to do a demo for the core developers. They get 10 minutes, and we keep that all open source and upstreamish. So. Yes, if you'd like to get a demo, talk to me. And then all of those meetings, actually all of these are available in our YouTube channel under separate playlists, so you can subscribe to them.
And last week in Kubernetes development summarizes them every week that Josh and I are not.
Yes. So I publish the notes on the forums every week, but they're the raw notes that like we didn't do a good job taking. And then Noah takes that and translates that into humans, and that's called, usually Josh and Noah do a newsletter called Last Week in Kubernetes Development, which is also a blog, lkwd.info. Yeah, and they basically translate all the stuff that happens in the community meeting for the rest of us to understand. So if you don't have time to watch the video, you could just watch your notes, and that's great. Am I done? Did I talk too fast?
No, you're awesome. Yeah. Cool. And then we just had the Contributor Summit two days ago. Yeah, time's blending together. 2 days ago, which was awesome. And then Paris is running the one in San Diego. Okay, yeah, so that's generally what we do at the top of the meeting, and then we move into the project board. So this is our handy dandy little project board, and you can see all the stuff that we're working on kind of broadly. We generally pick a column and we work down one. Are we interested in doing that in this forum or no? Okay. Yeah, okay. So here's our board. And then for the last half of the meeting, we generally do an open mic / discussion. And so what we're actually going to do is we're going to have Jonas give us a little update on how the Contributor Summit went.
So we hosted the Contributor Summit here on Monday. We did have a little event before that on Sunday, which we call the Contributor Celebration. Did anyone attend that? Okay, cool. Did you enjoy yourselves? Nice. It was all right? All right. It was a little hard to find, yes. And I think that's a common theme across this entire conference here, that things are hard to find, especially Diet Coke, apparently. So on Monday, we had over 300 people registered for a contributor summit. That is new and current contributors. We had roughly 130 new contributors registered. Not everyone could come, of course, so we did have some drop-off, but we led 2 great workshops, one for people who were new to GitHub, new to open source in general, had never contributed to an open source project before, so Kubernetes was essentially their first open source project that they contributed to. That was Tim Pepper who led that, and then we had a 201 session that Guinevere over here led for people who were knowledgeable about GitHub and had contributed to open source projects before. So yeah, we got a lot of new contributors through that event, and we also had new contributors were roughly 130 people registered. I'm not. Yes. Yeah, we're. Yeah, that's. Yep. So as Bob was saying, he led the registration, so he knows all the numbers here. Yes. Yeah, so for current contributors, for people who already were contributing to the Kubernetes project, we invited them to be a part of the SIG face-to-face meetings. So we had many SIGs that had meetings throughout the day, both morning and in the afternoon, going through issues, working through discussions that they wanted to have a little longer discussion than just the hourly, weekly meeting, and hopefully they got a lot of work done. That's the goal, at least. And then after that, we wrapped the day with a Cig Meet-and-Greet, where the Cig chairs and the Cig members joined in roundtables with new contributors so they could kind of learn what all the Cigs were about. And get fancy buttons, yes. If you are a part of a Cig already and you didn't get fancy buttons, let us know, let me know, and we can get you some fancy buttons for that specific Cig. Any questions? A captain's hat? Made out of paper.
So do you have any feedback? Like things that we want to do differently next
Mm-hmm.
year or next time around in a couple months?
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to do a retro later, but there were some immediate feedback for location and registration and information that was shared before the event that we need to improve on. Nope. Yeah, so we will have a retro soon-ish to kind of go through all the feedback that we gathered and the data from the survey as well for all the attendees.
Sweet. I'm going to hand it over to Christoph to talk a little bit about some of the automation and GitHub stuff that we're working on right now.
Surprise. So 2 very recent things that we've done as far as GitHub automation stuff. We turned on, I think like a week ago. No, actually, these were both within the last week that we turned 2 new features on. So the first feature that we turned on was GitHub review statuses. So if you have like about, say maybe 4 months ago or so, if I'm remembering correctly, GitHub rolled out a feature that you can set a status on your GitHub profile. And you can indicate, you can set like a little status message, and you can also say if you are busy or not. Our review bot, that if you're a reviewer in owner's files, now takes that into account. So if you set that you're busy and that you are like unavailable for a period of time, we will not assign you new PRs for review. The idea being that hopefully with the allowing people to take vacations, allowing people to step away for short periods of time. If you're on PTO for some reason, if you're otherwise going to take a long period of time to get to a PR, we would rather choose somebody else when we're doing our like round robin auto assigning to the reviewers in the list. Basically is just a flag that when Blunderbuss, which is one of the automation plugins that handles that, when it goes to say like, hey, you are the next person kind of in line to get assigned, oh, I'm detecting that you are unavailable, I'm just going to go to next in the list. Question?
I've worked on other open source projects. How come Kubernetes has all these bots and things? Why not just use GitHub in general?
GitHub is fantastic. It is GitHub is a fantastic product. At the scale that Kubernetes is using it, though, there's a lot of gaps that we have to bridge. This is an example of where we can take a feature that GitHub has rolled out and gives us that piece of information. So there's a UI element that you can go into your GitHub profile and set what your status is. Now our bots can just consume that when we're doing the rapid automation around things like assigning out reviewers. We can use that piece of information to better assign out reviewers, which both from the health of a reviewer standpoint, it allows people to take steps back if they're taking time off for some reason. They can temporarily take themselves out of that, just getting flooded with new PRs, especially like when you as you progress through the project, you just find yourself in more owners files, and you will find yourself in more review queues for things. And it gets stressful, and we want to try and help our contributors prevent burnout, as well as if you're a new contributor and your PR gets assigned to somebody by the bot, it's their responsibility, and that person is away for a week, 2 weeks, a month, and you have no idea that person is gone, and you don't necessarily know the communication channel to go and be like, oh, I need to go through these hoops to go and ping somebody. It kind of benefits on both ends, both the existing and the new contributors. So that's one feature that we rolled out in the last week. The other one that we turned on, there was kind of like a long tail in the development cycle that we just didn't end up turning it on for everybody. But we developed a plugin that our automation will now detect when you open your very first PR in a repo. GitHub, again, this is a thing that GitHub exposes this piece of information in a UI element that says you're a first-time contributor to a repo. We now take that information, and the bot actually will put an extra message on your first PR saying, hey, I just noticed this is your very first PR to the repo. Thanks for that, welcome. Here's a link to our contributing guidelines, our contributor's guide that has a bunch of extra development details, and if you need help, here's where to go. And we had kind of developed that, but we just hadn't turned it on everywhere. We're now, something that we've been working on probably for at least a year and a half, if not longer, is trying to get our automation ubiquitous across all of our repos and all of our orgs so that you have the same experience. The focus for a long time has been on the Kubernetes repository, the core one, but you would sometimes get an inconsistent experience going into other repos and then having to learn, okay, so I don't know the maintainers of this repo, what is the contributing experience like? So those automation pieces where we've had them turned on in like small little silos, we want to turn them on across everything. So right now, if you have never opened a PR in a repo, even if you're, honestly, even if you're an existing member, if you have never opened a PR in a specific repo before, the bot will say, hi, here's the repo-specific contributing guidelines, and here's our general contributor guide. So that got turned on like 2 days before KubeCon.
When you say scale, how much, like, surely not like 1,000 open PRs at one point. I just want the audience to know that, like, you know, you always are just crushing these numbers. Yeah, like put up a Github page or something, but the entire time I've been here, it's always been at least 1,000 open PRs. So what I meant.
It's 1,000 PRs just on the core repo. So our GitHub footprint right now, if you're interested, by the way, there's a talk tomorrow afternoon on a piece of automation called Parabolos that myself and my colleague Eric Feda at Google is putting on about some of our automation. I'm just going to plug that right there. That's tomorrow. But our GitHub footprint, we have 5 organizations, something like 170 repos across all of them, 190 repos across all of them, 900 something unique members across all of those orgs. There's a lot of like duplication between the different orgs of people who work in different parts of the project. But yeah, something like 900 plus unique members. So it's a fairly big footprint, and we've developed, like, if you have not opened a PR against a Kubernetes repo before, we have a lot of automation in place to kind of help us deal with some of that at scale. We built our own CI system from the ground up that runs every PR building Kubernetes on Kubernetes. We spin up, if you open a PR against any of the core repos that touch the core framework of Kubernetes, we spin up maybe like 15 different clusters on demand to test and run through end-to-ends of every piece of code, both the stuff you've touched and the stuff you haven't touched, to make sure we don't have regressions. Like, we test everything very thoroughly. It takes, like, we're working on this. Right now, if you open a PR, to get a full, complete, successful signal will take you about an hour. We're trying to bring that down. We need to we need to split out more tests and generate more clusters to do things in parallel simultaneously, but it takes you about an hour. But we run through the full Kubernetes end-to-end suite every time you push a commit to a PR. And one of the other kind of gaps in GitHub that we have to overcome is there's a lot of GitHub's permissions model is not very granular. So we have developed a lot of automation around being able to safely delegate permissions out to people, to trust our contributors, trust the people in our community to do the right thing on PRs without necessarily giving everybody a commit bit and write access to everything, but we can trust people to assign things, LGTM things, close things out, do what we need to do to keep that velocity going, because if we don't spread out the load, we're never going to get, like, right now, as you can see, there are 1,004 open PRs against core itself, and that is just one repo amongst the 190 plus that we have, all the different projects going on.
That's why we need all that.
Yeah. Specific? Yeah, so that's like what we've got going on very recently. There are constantly different things going on. The tooling that we have is it's a shared jurisdiction thing. We collaborate with SIG testing on all of these infrastructure pieces because it all runs in the one CI system. Contributor experience, we focus on that end-to-end from the time you start a PR to the time you close that PR. What do those automation pieces look like? There's plenty, like either on the community repo or the test infra repo that are both, if you go to the Kubernetes org, they're both in this 6 repos up at the top. These are like 6 of our oldest repos, some of the core ones. But in particular, test infra and community are where you'll find issues, and they'll be labeled with help wanted, good first issue. There's lots of little things in there as far as like automation pieces that we specifically have already identified that we would like help with and work on. But if you, and this is a call to literally every person in this room, if you come across a friction point in something that you're doing on GitHub, please let us know. We encourage that feedback at any point in time, and that's no matter what feature set you're looking for. We have automation around project boards. We have automation around issues. We have automation around PRs. Please let us know if you've run into any friction points, because then we can work and see if we can collect that information together and see if we can build some automation around it.
You want to ask the audience?
Why don't you actually pass that? Yeah.
No, I was going to say 5 minutes.
So George is going to close out our meeting. Okay, sorry, we're gonna.
I'm sorry I came late. I was just running the most amazing diversity lunch of my life. We had 200 people, pair programming, hands-on Kubernetes support, and talking about awesome topics. So I just had to tell people about that. But the second thing that I wanted to say is there is a mentoring session tomorrow, 2 sessions. 60% of the people ask contributing questions to all kinds of projects. And yes, everybody in here is a mentor. I don't care if you have 0 years of experience. The idea here is it's about the journey, not the solution. You're going to learn together because we're better together. Cool? It's on the KubeCon schedule. Again, 7:30 a.m., 3:30 p.m. The forum is closed. Tell people you know me. Cool.
So I think we've done enough talking, but I did have some questions for the audience. Have any of you have any feedback? Like, did you try to contribute and it was like a totally wonderful experience and then you came out empowered, or did you go and stuff was 404ing, or you tried to CLA and you got an error and then you have to email something, they get back to you in 30 hours or whatever? Are we taping this? Okay. Has anyone any feedback at all, or how many of you have tried to contribute to Kubernetes? Yeah, let's.
All right. I haven't tried contributing to Kubernetes proper. I wrote a patch to, I think, cluster API provider OpenStack. It was all right. It's like the thing for me is, coming from the OpenStack background, all of those processes are completely different. There's a lot of similar things. You sign a document at the beginning for both of those, but the process is different, and so figuring that out was a bit. Well, it wasn't difficult, but I had to read some documents, read the contributing guideline and all that. But for me, it was all right. But I'm not necessarily a new contributor to open source either, so I kind of I'm used to those sorts of things. But I haven't really encountered any issues other than the inherent friction in that process.
So I'm Rel. I'm joined during this year after a talk from Nikita. That was really, really inspiring. And I think that I found, because I'm trying to run a meetup here in Barcelona, I'm doing an event each week. And the last week we did a contributor experience one. We got 22 PL pull requests the same day for the Spanish documentation. Was amazing. The people doesn't know that it's that easy to get into the community. I think the problem that I think that currently we have is visibility. The people sees Kubernetes as something that runs in Red Hat, Google, and these kind of genius places, and they are far, far away from out of reach. And it's not true. And I think we need to focus on how we can make this more visible to everyone. So not afraid, can join, hop in, and all these platforms we have, like Discourse, Slack, Stack Overflow. We have thousands of places to get people involved, and they didn't know. They I don't know, I'm not a marketing SEO guy, but I think that we need to push this outside the world to.
Good news is that we're building a marketing team. Would you like to join?
I'm not good at marketing. I can help.
PR's accepted.
I think.
Once the other session starts, we have.
Hey, okay. I've been contributing like for more than 2 years. I probably have like 80 plus PR merged already in Kubernetes. At the beginning, it felt very easy. Like I remember like Janet, Kuo, and everything was like giving super fast feedback on my PRs. It was enjoyable. Then it became more difficult, so then I contributed more to test infra because I still had this like quick feedback. And yeah, recently I tried to contribute again to KK, and it's difficult. I mean, I have to put the timer on my watch, like to remember to ping the people that should review my work at 11 p.m. Europe time, and it shouldn't be like this.
Thank you so much for that feedback. I think we actually need to go, but we can take this out into the hallway as well to continue the discussion. So thank you all so much for joining. Regular meetings, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific. I should know what it is here. I don't off the top of my head.